Welcome to Building the Future. I'm your host, Kevin Horick. You can check out new episodes of the show every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. If you missed an episode or want to get more information about the show, please visit buildingthefutureshow.com. Welcome back to the show. Today we have Ian Simpson. He's the head of communications at Lakeside Partners and the project coordinator at Blockchain Competition. Ian, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot. Great to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on the show. You're involved in a bunch of things, and you're involved in some actually really cool and interesting kind of things around kind of the blockchain, crypto valley kind of stuff. But before we kind of get into that, maybe let's get to know you a little bit better and start off with where you grew up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I kind of came from, you might say, the middle of nowhere, the Midwest. I grew up just east of Indianapolis in Indiana. Okay. And yeah, I grew up there, spent my early years in the cornfields of Indiana.
Okay.
And yeah, kind of enjoyed that whole experience before heading off to college. And I went quite a ways away, went to Middlebury College, way up in the Northeast in Vermont.
Okay. What made you go there?
Well, that was kind of an interesting story. So I got the idea to study French in school.
Sure.
Kind of a foretaste of my international travels later on. And after 1 year, I decided I really wanted to practice my French.
Okay.
So I decided to take a trip up to Quebec.
Sure.
And I got up there, couldn't speak a word of French, had absolutely no clue what people were saying. But I did travel through Vermont and kind of discovered the whole area and the mountains and really fell in love with it. And then later on, I decided to end up there at university. So.
Sure, man. So what did you take in university?
So I was a real history buff. From the early age, I was reading everything about history, French. So it was kind of the humanities, liberal arts school.
Sure.
And I had a background in history and French and went through that. But actually, to be honest, I'd never finished. I started out, didn't finish my studies. So I kind of like to tell people I'm a college dropout, which was maybe a little bit of a surprise from my high school classmates because I was, a pretty good student. And then dropped out of school, and that was always kind of a fun line to pull on people. So
sure,
yeah.
No, I always think it's interesting when people don't finish college or don't go to college because some people see that as such a negative, but in some ways it's it doesn't matter at all, at least in my opinion, right? In some ways, some of the most successful people I've ever met never even went, or some of them didn't even graduate high school and were self-taught, right? And you're just wow, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. You wouldn't exactly compare yourself to the Bill Gateses and the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world. I wouldn't do that either. But that's, kind of my story. And I think, I'm totally happy with where I ended up. So I have no regrets at all about how that ended up. So,
that's great. So I'm kind of curious then. So you get out of university. What did you kind of walk me through your career before kind of what you're currently doing now?
Okay, so I dropped out of school to do charity work, kind of volunteer work, and I did that in the States for about 7 years. I was in Indiana a bit, a little bit in Illinois. I went down to North Carolina and discovered the South a little bit. Really enjoyed that, all the good Southern cooking and so on. And then I decided to come to Europe, and I ended up in Poland, actually, which is...
Why Poland, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, good question. Just because they needed somebody to come. I was really interested, had always been interested in Europe and loved history and things, and just ended up in Poland. I didn't stay 100% of the time in Poland, so I was traveling quite a bit. And, was in Europe and Asia, Kazakhstan, India.
Oh, wow. All over.
Really international. So I got around quite a few different places. And that really kind of gave me, international perspective. And I always enjoyed languages, so I learned Polish, learned some Russian. So kind of got a flavor for everything that there is out there. And then after that, I kind of settled down eventually in the southwest of Poland in Wrocław.
Okay.
Really cool city, and ended up in marketing and in a ad tech startup. So kind of got into the startup scene in Poland, which is a really interesting space, actually. Poland, I think, is one of the top countries in Europe for really pushing the startup scene, maybe a little bit off the radar, but a lot of great people and great ideas coming out of Poland. So, yeah.
Oh, that's great, man. So, walk me through kind of your role at Lakeside Partners and what you guys do at Lakeside.
Okay, so maybe just to tie that into my,
sure.
So I was in Poland. I was in the company there at ClearCode.
Okay.
And then, thanks to the internet and all of the things that are connected to it, I met my now wife on Facebook. And
wait. Sorry. You met your wife on Facebook?
I met my wife on Facebook.
That's awesome, man.
So it's all thanks to Mark Zuckerberg's algorithm.
Interesting.
People you may know. It was so. Here's the funny story. I had traveled up to Scandinavia in 2009.
Sure.
I was in Scandinavia, Finland, Norway, Sweden, and I met quite a few people traveling around. And I actually met my future in-laws, but
really?
I didn't. My future wife, right?
Wow.
So then later, I'm on Facebook, just browsing through things, and came to the section people you may know, flipping through the pictures, and I come across my now wife, and like, well, that's kind of a familiar name. Checked out the profile and different things, and sure enough, I know some of her family, so that's how we connected. So then we got in touch, we started talking. She lives in Switzerland,
yeah,
and I decided, okay, I want to come to Switzerland. So then that's when I kind of discovered Crypto Valley, the whole blockchain scene, the crypto scene, and really started getting into that and meeting people here, and yeah, kind of ended up where I am now. Mm-hmm.
That's cool, man. So I guess like walk me through kind of the Lakeside Partners stuff and what you guys are doing, and then we'll kind of get into kind of the competition and whatnot.
Right. So Crypto Valley, it's it sounds like Silicon Valley, right? It's a name that kind of echoes the Silicon Valley. Well, it's nowhere near the size, the scope of Silicon Valley, but it is a pretty special place.
Okay.
So here is the place where Ethereum came. They founded their foundation and had their ICO back in 2014.
Sure.
And it was kind of like the genesis, the seed of something special. So there is a very special ecosystem of enthusiasts, crypto enthusiasts, blockchain enthusiasts, entrepreneurs. And this whole area in general is really, really open for business, for all kinds of different things, and really flexible. Like, let's be honest, in the States, the attitude towards crypto and blockchain is still a bit skeptical with regulations and so on. Here, it's a bit different story.
Okay.
So things are really, really open. Lots of things happening. Other companies kind of followed in the path of Ethereum and came here and set up shop, did an ICO, raised funds. But the thing is, despite all of the great factors that make Crypto Valley really, really special, there is no place that you could call Crypto Valley. Like there's Zug, the town of Zug. It's a rather small place. There's Zurich, there's Luzern, there's the area around here.
Okay.
But the ecosystem is still pretty new.
Sure.
And with no real infrastructure, real place. So Lakeside Partners is 3 partners actually who have diverse backgrounds, and they came together a little while ago to start doing early stage investments with a focus on the blockchain crypto space, because they saw kind of the need of helping teams really, like when you come in from another country, which is what a lot of teams do, they come in, they maybe get the legal support, they set up a foundation, they have all of that, but that's about it. And there be some support and help beyond that to kind of plug the gaps, really make things solid. And so that's what Lakeside Partners is doing. So when teams come in, have great ideas, they like to partner not just maybe with the traditional VC fund model, because at the early stage, like when crypto startups, blockchain startups come in, right now anyway, their main focus is to do an ICO, to issue their own token, to raise funds that way. That puts them more in control. And it's kind of the natural fundraising method for a blockchain startup. I mean, that's what things lend themselves to. But there is kind of that gap before where a team may need some coaching, some advising, some cash, maybe some other services and so on. Gotcha. So what Lakeside Partners likes to do is come in at that point, with a cash element, then bring in like what we like to call smart capital.
Sure.
So some services, coaching, maybe some advisory. We operate out of a business center here in Zug, Lakeside Business Center.
Okay.
And we offer co-working space where people can come, can work, if they're here for a little bit of time and so on. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're also one of the founding partners of the Crypto Valley Association,
nice.
Which is really a unique initiative, kind of a multi-stakeholder association. So it's kind of bringing together the political element, the local authorities, some of the bigger corporates, so PricewaterhouseCoopers, Thomson Reuters.
Oh, wow. Big names.
Yeah, some of the big names with the startups, with individuals who may be business angels and so on. And Lakeside Partners is one of the founding members of the Crypto Valley Association. So we're sitting right in the heart of the ecosystem. And really right now, this year, the last 4 months, 5 months has really been kind of an explosion of all of this stuff here.
Sure.
So, like for instance, last week we had the federal counselor, he's kind of a long title, it's hard to, anyway, the Minister of Economy.
Sure.
First Minister of Economy, who came and visited us because he heard about all the things that are going on here in Zug, and he had to come and check it out. And apparently one of his colleagues got kind of jealous.
Okay.
The Minister of Finance just showed up at our offices this morning, actually, just for kind of a quick hour visit.
Well, that's awesome.
Like just people showing up all over the place. Yeah, and Zug, Zug is a really small place. You get off the train, you walk around to our office, you can go have a coffee, but it's a very, very small place, but so much happening here. So it's really, really interesting. Yeah.
No, that's really cool, man. And I love that. And I think the thing that's interesting to me kind of about what you guys are doing is like when you have these big companies, they're probably like part of the association. They probably care the most about cryptography and kind of the whole kind of security and kind of blockchain kind of space, right? Because in some ways, like they have the most to lose, right?
Right. You see a real dynamic of companies and even like people who work for a UBS or a
Sure.
PwC. They come around, they kind of hang around. So there's monthly meetups that happen here. The Crypto Valley Forum has a monthly meetup on the first Tuesday of the month. And some of those people show up and they're like, man, I wish we could move as fast as some of these startups.
Sure.
Or I wish we had the innovation. And so you get now, and what is happening is you have a Swisscom, you have Thomson Reuters who are starting their own incubators.
Totally. That's awesome.
They have to get the ideas. They have to partner. And so, but that's kind of part of the Swiss way, actually.
Interesting.
That, big players have a certain role to play. They have capital backing, they have infrastructure and so on.
Sure.
But they also need the agility and the ideas of people that come from outside the corporate world. And so that collaboration, that working together is really what has kind of made the area pretty special.
No, that's great. So maybe just before we kind of get into it a little bit deeper, for people that don't know what like crypto or kind of blockchain is, do you want to kind of give a quick overview of kind of the space and kind of what that really means to people that don't really know what we're talking about?
Well, the starting point for most people when we start talking about crypto is Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. Bitcoin itself is made possible by the technology of blockchain.
Okay.
And that is the sometimes referred to as this distributed ledger technology. So where information is stored in a block, it is hashed, and it is connected to all of the information that came before it. So you have a ledger of information, transactions. In the case of Bitcoin, it was for an actual monetary or value transaction.
Sure.
And every time a transaction was made, it was recorded and hashed and secured so that it is visible, it is transparent, and it is immutable, so it can't be changed.
Okay.
That transparency and that immutability, if you can get your mouth around that word, makes blockchain really interesting, especially to people who are working with lots of data. So in financial services or in insurance,
Okay.
where you have data and you want to have a clear path for it. You want to have traceability, and blockchain is the technology that enables that. So now we're kind of moving beyond just blockchain and cryptocurrencies for transactions, for financial things, and getting into all different kinds of other sectors. So insurance, energy, real estate. We've seen a few companies here in Switzerland who are thinking about ways to optimize their processes with blockchain in real estate, or even kind of make their assets more liquid by breaking them down into small pieces like tokens.
Interesting.
And then you can treat that like almost like a currency, like a token that you can sell out on a very, very small scale. But because you have the blockchain behind that, you can trace it and you can show who owns what. And it makes a lot of things possible that were not possible before. So it's a really, really exciting thing. Yeah.
No, I think that's great, and that's really cool, because Bitcoin, I think for a lot of people, is kind of broken into a bit of the mainstream in the last. Well, I would say maybe in 2017. I think like a lot of people still aren't using it or own any, but I think majority of people nowadays have at least heard about it. You know, it's kind of gotten a bit of good and bad press this year. So
they're not immediately, putting it together with drug dealers and criminals and so on. It's kind of come out of the dark side of things into the light, onto the light side of the force, if you want to say it that way.
Well, and I think haven't certain countries like basically maybe adopted it as like a legit currency, even just kind of like across their country? Like I think Japan. Am I right in saying that?
Right, South Korea, and some other countries are looking at it, and that's the thing that makes it really, really interesting, because you have the whole worldwide community, and then every country, of course, treats it differently. But that's one of the exciting things also behind the blockchain crypto scene, is that it creates a real sense of community, because everybody can contribute, everybody can be a part of something. When you have a token sale, a token generating event, like the lawyers like to call it, people can contribute, they can invest $5, $10, and they become part of something that they could never become part of before with traditional models and systems and so on. So it's really catching on worldwide. And here in Switzerland, you have kind of the open-mindedness to take things farther than in some countries. Mm-hmm.
No, I 100% agree. I think the interesting thing to me about the internet, and I've said it numerous times on the show, is so many people just think kind of locally or statewide, or maybe even like on their continent. But the internet allows you basically need to be like a world kind of business person, or like, it sounds kind of stupid to say it like that, but like you have access to the entire world as like your partners and kind of your clients or your customers, or all this stuff, right? And having kind of a global currency that's not necessarily controlled by one corporation in one country is kind of really exciting, at least to me anyway.
It is. Yeah, it really is. And you see the projects that are being built using blockchain are on the one hand, they're kind of harnessing this worldwide momentum, like you might call it the power of the crowd, right, to fund their operations, the crowd sale, the token sale. On the other hand, it's the technology, and what they're doing is enabling benefits to go to large amounts of people that could not otherwise have had any of these benefits. So one of the projects that was actually here, and they had a crowd sale, a token sale 3-4 weeks ago. They're building a technology to bring cross-border payments to people in like Thailand, Bangladesh, places like this. So giving people who maybe just have a smartphone or just have a very, very small amount of money the possibility to send money, to do things they couldn't otherwise have done because transaction fees and all this kind of stuff. So they were funded by the crowd. They have their technology, their solution, and they're bringing benefits to a large crowd of people and populations. And it's a really interesting dynamic to see on the world stage.
Sure, and I think as more and more people kind of come online and get a smartphone and or even just like a Well, I guess like when I say smartphone, I don't mean like the latest Android or iOS or app or iPhone. Sorry, I mean
Mm-hmm.
like there's a lot more kind of budget phones coming into different parts of the world, made by a bunch of different manufacturers, right? That don't really need crazy hardware specs to be able to take Bitcoin or some sort of other cryptocurrency, right?
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
kind of really fascinating. Is like even just like if you're like a local merchant in wherever, right, that has maybe even slow internet access is fascinating to me that you could actually kind of compete on the global scale with like
Yeah.
where you couldn't before, right?
Right. Yeah, you have access to people. You have access to one individual through through the smartphone, through an application, and when you keep it simple and when things are fast and cheap, because now you can do micropayments without huge transaction fees,
Totally.
then people can do a lot more, and you can pinpoint one person or a group of people so much better. So it's a really really interesting
Well,
thing.
I was watching a documentary about like Shenzhen, China, where they make all well, not all, but like a lot of the kind of parts for tons of electronics and stuff,
Mhm.
and like people were just paying the merchant at these, little. Not like a flea market's the wrong term for it, but it's kind of similar where you literally just like you pick like I want this little part or this little electronic piece that goes in my iPhone or something
Mhm.
like that, and you could just like send money through what's that thing? What's the popular one? WeChat.
Yeah. Okay.
You could
Hmm.
just send money through that
Yeah.
quickly, right, to
Yeah.
that person, and you just
Mhm.
needed their username, which is kind of a whole interesting kind of thing around this that I think a lot of people, at least in kind of North America, we're like so early on in that space, but
Yeah.
like certain parts of the world, it's become maybe
They're
not like mainstream, but it's like
yeah.
almost there, you know?
Right. That's the funny thing. Like many articles have been written, and people are talking about that blockchain, even cryptocurrencies, could eventually be adopted much faster in developing countries because there is no existing infrastructure.
Yeah.
There's nothing to break, right? You just
Sure.
implement
Yeah. Interesting.
it right away, and it comes right in. I even saw that interesting comparison, like when I was living in Poland, so a former communist country, and a lot of
Sure.
infrastructure was broken down or infrastructure that wasn't ever there. Now they came into the European Union, they developed things, and they got funds to do it, and so they got right to the front with innovation and with the latest
Interesting.
technology and styles and so on. So they take this huge leapfrog over countries who are kind of stuck, maybe not in the past, but kind of stuck in their own uh,
Yeah. Interesting.
situation. And it's kind of funny and interesting to see how that develops. So then the westernized, more developed countries are learning from the newer countries, and it's really really cool.
Yeah, that is actually really cool. So, you're also involved in this blockchain competition. What
That's right.
exactly is it, and kind
Okay.
of what are you guys kind of looking for teams or people to come in and actually
Hmm.
like compete?
Hmm. So this is one of our initiatives, being here in Crypto Valley and seeing what is happening and how things have developed. Like I was talking about earlier, an ecosystem that develops with kind of spontaneously, kind of the combustible, spontaneous combustion
Mm-hmm.
of things that have happened here. Um, but the teams that come here, like I said, don't necessarily stay. They set things up, they do all of the things they do, and then move on, or they have their teams in other places. So the blockchain competition is an initiative to bring teams here, yeah, to focus attention on Crypto Valley, and then also give those teams a place, a chance, excuse me, to settle here
Sure.
and and develop and grow. So this year we're focused on blockchain for insurance,
Okay.
and
Interesting.
it's kind of a narrow vertical. I mean, blockchain is still catching on in general. Blockchain for insurance is even a smaller section of it, but it's kind of the natural progression from financial services to the next thing because finance, insurance connected so closely.
Yeah.
So we did the competition. We're looking for teams that have cool ideas how to revolutionize, change, improve the insurance industry.
Okay.
And it can be teams that have a startup already. It can be teams that just got together over coffee and came
Okay.
up with a cool idea. It can be teams, and we have this actually, people who are currently working for a big established insurance company.
Okay,
who
interesting.
are frustrated with the slowness of their own organization and have kind of gone outside to form their own team and bring together an idea. We have a really, really cool group from Cologne.
Okay.
And one was actually here for some of the meetups. He was checking things out and really jealous of how things were moving. So he and his friends got together and kind of formed their own team.
Interesting.
He works for one of the big companies. I won't tell you which one.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
But, I don't want to get him in trouble.
No, that's fair.
But so they're, yeah, just all from all over. And on the other side, like I said, teams that just got together. So one of our applicants was a man. I would guess he's maybe in his 60s.
Oh, wow.
Maybe 70, but has had his whole career at IBM, kind of as a solutions architect, or I'm not sure exactly his area, but he found out about it from Switzerland here.
Sure.
And he wrote to us and said, yeah, I have some friends and we have this idea and we want to get this together. And we were going back and forth asking a few questions. So yeah, so we have all kinds of different teams coming together to bring their ideas forth. And the prize, the top prize is $100,000.
Okay. US, right?
US dollars, okay, right?
Yeah.
No strings attached, so it's not like, equity or something like that. We just write the check, you get the money. And then, in addition to that, for the top team, we offer a package of coaching,
okay,
advisory support, and also access to our connections. So one of the initiators behind the competition is Inacta.
Okay.
And they have worked closely with many of the insurance companies here in Switzerland, and they have lots of good connections. And in a business like insurance, where it's heavily regulated and in Switzerland very established for many, many years and generations, it's kind of hard sometimes to break in if you have a new idea.
Sure.
So we offer that as well. And then on top of that, space here in Zug, in our co-working facility, for 1 year, free of charge.
Wow.
So that's the element.
Huge, actually, for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's actually a really good kind of prize package.
Yep. And it kind of brings up the question, because, of course, when you think about a prize, the first thing you think of is money, right?
Sure.
Always money is the most important. Cash. People go around raising funds and talking to investors. But when it comes right down to it, sometimes cash isn't the most important because other things can help you grow just as much or just as fast. And actually, when we started the competition, it was kind of, so the end of last year, December, January 2017, it was before the real wave of ICO hype and some of these big ones. So, $100,000 seemed like a lot of money.
Yep.
Now when you have people raising $230 million, that's like nothing. Yep. But then the thing about that is it kind of accentuates the value of the other things, because you can raise lots of money. That's really, really cool. And you can buy a lot of really smart developers and a lot of things, marketing, yep, and so on. But that isn't always the most important. So we feel like the package that we can offer startups is something that's really, really interesting, plus the chance to settle here and to be part of the community. And that's what we want, is not just to hand out money, see somebody walk away and go back to wherever they come from,
sure, but
actually come here and contribute and, yeah, maybe create jobs and contribute to the ecosystem and see things grow on. Mm-hmm.
No, I think that's great, man. And the thing is that you touched on something that I think is true, and some people might disagree with kind of both of us, but I think at least 80%, again, in my opinion, at least 80% of mm-hmm. a startup's kind of problem that they need to solve mm-hmm. is kind of sales / marketing, but mm-hmm. the sooner you can have kind of somebody that has the connections to speed up your sales and marketing to your target market. And right. you guys, in my opinion, have kind of already solved that, right? Because like you said, you can have the best developers, the best product, but if nobody mm-hmm. knows about it, or you don't have the connections, or you can't figure out how to make the connections, eventually right. you'll run out of money, right? Mm-hmm. It's just a matter right. of time. And so if you can go from kind of, idea to proof of concept to maybe even an early beta or maybe even a version 1 that's live, and you can have it in the hands of a big company or somebody that works at a big company, within a matter of months or a year, depending how crazy complicated your software is, like that to me is 80% of the battle, right? In a startup.
It is, right. And when you talk about why startups fail or why projects fail, I don't know statistics, but a large percentage of it is because they didn't know what the market needed, what their target audience needed. So when you have those connections, you might have a whole slew of money to develop, but if you know and you have the connections to understand what is the pain point, what do these people need, what will they latch onto immediately, if we develop it, that's really, really valuable.
Totally.
And
marketing. No, keep going. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the other thing too is like, even if they, like a team submits to the competition and doesn't win, just the connections that they would gain just from being part of this, right, could potentially be, career defining or changing, right? I think people forget about that too, right? Like,
and one thing about a competition is it's kind of a thing where you have a goal, you have a deadline. So, for instance, the team I was mentioning, where they work for an insurance company right now, who knows if they ever would have had the courage or the push or the drive to come together, put their ideas on paper, develop something, if they didn't have a goal. Now, whether they win or not, who knows? That's not up to me, and have a jury that will decide that. But it gives you kind of a deadline that you have to focus on, and it really drives you to put it all together. And I think that's a really valuable thing, because people might have an idea, or maybe they have some complaint. How many great ideas have started from a complaint?
Sure.
My insurance company is so slow. I wish they would process my claim faster. Or, I wish I could buy insurance for just the time when I'm actually driving and not the time when my car is at home, or something like that.
Sure.
All of those points that people have, they would maybe never try to do anything about it unless they have this goal, this focus. And I think that's something like that our competition can really bring to people, and be more so than a marketing thing or even a chance for people to win money, but a way to motivate people to work and put their ideas on paper.
No, I think that's great. That's quite fascinating. So to dive a little bit deeper into kind of how the whole blockchain competition works, do people have to like come over to you guys and actually work on this stuff? Can they work remote, submit it online? Like, how does the whole process kind of work for people?
So we have a website. All the information is there, but you can contact us through the website that you're interested, and then we have a system that aggregates all of the applications. So you have a chance to describe your team, to talk about your idea, the pain point, the idea behind your solution, to submit documents, whether it's a pitch deck, or it's a diagram of your architecture, or a video, or so on. So we aggregate all of those now.
Okay.
We'll be continuing that process until the 22nd of September.
Okay.
Which is final cutoff. And then we have a jury, and the jury is comprised of experts from different fields. So we have some technical experts, people with background in blockchain. So we have the president of the Bitcoin Association of Switzerland. We have vice president of technology from Luxoft. We have a startup co-founder who's worked in blockchain. Then we have some people with investment and business background. So one of the partners here at Lakeside Partners, some others who have worked in business. We have a few lawyers who take a look at the legal aspect.
Super important.
Yeah, definitely. We have to figure out if there's anything that could, bring the authorities reining in our heads or something.
Sure.
And then people with insurance background. So we we have this panel, and what we'll do is we'll take the applications online, kind of split them up. We have 3 teams of jurors.
Okay.
And then they'll kind of go through them, sift through them, rate them according to their area of expertise. And then that'll kind of help us bring it down to about 15 or 20.
Okay.
And idea is that we will contact those teams and give them a chance to talk to us personally via Skype or something like that on the phone.
Sure.
So we get a little more in-depth look at their application and their ideas. And then from those, we'll select the top 10. And the top 10 will get an invitation to come visit us here in Zug and to participate in our award show, which will be on the 22nd of November.
Very cool.
Yeah. So we've planned a whole event around that, and we'll have facility in the Theater Casino here in Zug, so it's going to be a really cool spot. We're anticipating quite a few of the local community, plus people from around Switzerland. We've had some interest from other people over in the Geneva, Lausanne area wanting to come for the final event. So I think it's going to be a really cool experience. And like you mentioned earlier, even if a team doesn't win, if they make it to that point, or even now applying, because we're talking about the different teams, we're giving some of them the chance to share their ideas on our blog, and it'll be great exposure for people. So there could be somebody there who doesn't even make it to the top 3, but their idea is interesting enough to an investor who happens to be at the final event, and they have a chance to cooperate and maybe take their idea further. So outside of the competition itself. Yeah.
No, I think that's really good. I think the other thing to stress kind of again about, like obviously it's nice to win, but the connections, like the startup that I work at kind of as my day job, we've kind of officially launched for like just over a year now, or almost a year, I should say. And like I live in Canada. Just so it's clear, we don't have one Canadian customer right now. We're in 12 countries at this point, but like none of them's Canada. So the point I'm trying to get across is like you don't need to live in a country to have clients in other countries, right? And so I think for, like if there's a company in the US or somewhere else on the globe, they should still submit to you guys, and maybe they'll make connections, and maybe their biggest or first client could be in your area or somewhere else in Europe or who knows, right? But I want to encourage people. It's like geographically, it doesn't really matter anymore.
Right. And that's the thing about, like we were talking about, the blockchain community and even learning from others. So you might have a team that has an idea. They come together, maybe they make it to the top 10. They come to Zug, they discover the ecosystem here. Then they find out some more things or some more ideas, and then they go back and they develop their own ideas. So getting together with people, even if it's in a competition where you're both trying to win a prize, doesn't necessarily preclude that you can't learn from somebody else. And I think that's a really cool thing. I mean, we have teams from Uruguay, we have teams from Czech Republic, from
that's cool.
Singapore, from the States, from Canada. We have teams from Canada, Chile.
That's cool.
So it's a really, really international thing, and we're really excited. I mean, it would be cool if we could have all the top 10 teams, each one from a different country.
Sure.
But again, I can't control that, so we'll have to wait and see.
Sure. Well, and the other thing too is like you might meet another founder or somebody else to work on your team, or two companies might merge or partner. Who knows, right?
Yeah, there's lots of possibilities, definitely.
So this is kind of totally a bit unrelated, but I'm very curious. The photo on the blockchaincompetition.ch website with the different animal heads, I'm curious. Like who thought of that, and kind of like what's the story behind that? I'm so curious.
The really mundane answer is that was the idea of our designer.
Okay.
But I think really the idea behind it is, and you'll notice that if you look at it, that it's animal heads, the bodies of people and dressed like maybe normal business people would be dressed, and that's actually a really good comparison or metaphor, because many of the teams actually that have submitted are people with maybe a corporate background.
Right.
Or people who have been in different businesses, maybe in insurance themselves. They're not necessarily blockchain experts, but they know insurance, or they're blockchain experts, but they are learning about insurance. And so it's kind of like the mixture of the two. And let's be honest, at this point, many people still view the crypto community or the blockchain community as kind of a different sort of animal, kind of a different thing,
Sure.
So I think it kind of represents that in general. And besides, it's a good conversation piece, and
sure.
It makes you ask a question on the show today. So
no, I thought it was kind of cool, right? And kind of innovative in the sense that I kind of had my own interpretation, and it doesn't really matter. Like I think it's kind of up for interpretation, but I think it's interesting, right? So I thought I would mention it because I think people at least should go check it out.
Because should go check out the website, definitely. Yeah, just to see what it looks like. And I mean, again, some people have compared it like to the Last Supper or some religious picture. I don't know if necessarily you would have to, but it is, people all together, people sharing, and that's also the idea behind the competition too. So
yeah, like for me, it was kind of like different people with kind of like different backgrounds, and they're represented by different animals, all playing nice together, or kind of working together.
Okay, one big happy family.
Yeah, that was kind of how I interpreted it, but
big cool. Zoo. Yeah, no. Again, and then like going back to what I said earlier about a competition, it brings out ideas that you wouldn't otherwise have. So it might bring out the entrepreneurial spirit in some people that otherwise wouldn't have necessarily had the courage to try something like this, So I think it can represent that too.
Sure. No, totally. I think that's great. But sadly, we're coming to the end of the show. So let's close with mentioning where people can get more information kind of about Lakeside and the blockchain competition and any other links you want to mention.
Yeah, so we have a website for the competition itself, and that is www.blockchaincompetition.com. No spaces, no hyphens, .ch. If you go there, you'll find all the information about the competition, really easy link to apply. If you apply through the form on the website, that information will come directly to me, so I will have the pleasure of personal contact with you. As far as Lakeside Partners, we also have a website, and that is www.lakeside.partners. And I have to be honest, it's not a very extensive website, but if you contact us through that website as well, we'll be glad to reach out to you. If you want to come to Crypto Valley, you should definitely do that. Contact us through the Lakeside website, or you can also check out the Crypto Valley Association. That is www.cryptovalley.swiss, SWISS. So those are some places to go and check out and find out more about what's going on.
Perfect, man. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your Friday evening to be on the show. And I look forward to keeping in touch with you, man, and have a good rest of your day and weekend.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, man. We'll talk soon.
Very good.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. The music for the show is done by Electric Mantra. You can check them out at electricmantra.com and keep them in the future.